What is going on, everybody? We are here with some March Madness predictions heading into the tournament starting this weekend. We have accurately predicted two of the past four championships on this very channel. So, with that being said, you know our champion this year will be booted in the first round. But let's hop right into our predictions for the 2024 bracket. All right, I guess we'll start off in the East region. What are we looking at over here with UConn as the number one overall seed?
I want to say I love them again like last year, but they got two other of the four final four teams last year in their region. They've got some other difficult matchups if they are trying to get all the way there in Auburn, even San Diego State if they happen to meet in the Sweet 16, and then Northwestern. Boo Billy he's one of my favorite players, and he could single handedly lead this team to an Elite Eight Final Four appearance. So for now, UConn's going to take the first game. Obviously, it's Stetson. Congratulations, but it's UConn. After that, FAU Northwestern, probably the best game in this opening game in this region besides Auburn and Yale. I love Boo Buie. I'm just going to put it out there. That's the entire reason behind this pick. Just give me Northwestern. San Diego State, UAB looked really good today, but San Diego State is a much better team with a better coach. Andy Kennedy is doing a great job, but San Diego State's going to take that one. Auburn Yale, another really entertaining game, the other good game in this region. Auburn is on a roll at the right time, so they're going to take this one. They could be the biggest challenge to UConn in this region, but give me Auburn for the opening round against Yale. BYU and Duquesne, I got a chance to watch Duquesne obviously today. They just got hot. I don't think they're actually that great of a team. They're not terrible, but they're not a great team. So give me BYU. They jumped up to the Big 12 and played really well in their first year. Illinois Morehead State, the easiest pick in this entire region. Just give me Illinois. There's no even reason to think about it. And to get towards the bottom, Washington State, great story. I love Drake. That game against Indiana State was electric and worth every penny. Give me Drake. Iowa State, easy. No reason to think about it. They absolutely killed Houston. Heading back up to the top, UConn Northwestern will be probably the best game of the entire second round, in my opinion. I know we should have a long way to go, but I love this one. And give me UConn. Bubuli could drive them all the way to Elite Eight, but UConn's in their region, so no dice. And then Auburn, they're hot. They can shoot the lights out. Every win except for one this season has been a double-digit win at home. And I know they're not at home, but I think they can translate that. So give me Auburn into the Sweet 16 for a really juicy 1-4 matchup in the Sweet 16. Heading back down to BYU, Illinois. Illinois looked pretty good today, Big Ten champions, but you've got to have some chaos, and my chaos is going to be BYU. Just another underwhelming march for Brad Underwood and the Illini. And then Drake, Iowa State, this is the Iowa Bowl, Des Moines, Iowa for Drake, and Iowa State and Ames. Iowa State's hot. They look great. They just suffocated Houston, who's got great defense. So give me Iowa State running in the Sweet 16. Super underrated job by Fred Hoiberg over there in Ames. Moving back up, UConn, Auburn. I called UConn last year, and Auburn fits the exact profile of UConn. Little underseeded at the fourth ranked KenPom team. That's the exact same thing to have UConn last year and they won a national title. And I think history repeats itself here. I think this is where UConn gets knocked off, and it's easy, like Purdue last year, to say, oh, they're good. They're 31 wins. It's March Madness for a reason. Give me Auburn. And then finally, Iowa State. As I said earlier, there are a few teams that aren't one seeds that I fall in love with. It's Texas Tech and Iowa State. Then a couple others we'll get to later. Give me Iowa State for a really, really great Elite Eight matchup between Auburn and Iowa State. And I got to have Auburn go to the Final Four. Bruce Pearl is going to prove again why he's one of the best coaches in the country.
Okay, our first ticket is punched in the Final Four. Auburn winning the SEC championship. Now,
Look
where are
great
you
today.
predicting them to Phoenix this year for the Final Four? Okay, let's move down to the West region. North Carolina, the number one seed. What do we have here?
All right, here we go. North Carolina. I like this Howard story here with Seth Towns. I think he's on his eighth year of college basketball. We're going North Carolina. All right, the Mississippi State, Michigan State matchup. Michigan State, they underwhelmed all year. You know, they started off as like a top five team based off returning a lot of guys from last year. I'm going to go with Michigan State here. I think Tom Izzo can get him one win in this tournament just because that's what he does. But Mississippi State's kind of a sneaky team. They play good defense. St. Mary's and Grand Canyon. I think Grand Canyon's like the most common upset pick almost every year. Everyone tries to go with them. But St. Mary's, if you look at the metrics since February, they're like a top 12 team in the country. So I'm
Yep.
gonna go with St. Mary's here. Alabama and Charleston. Alabama, they play zero defense. They just love to let the other team score. And Charleston, they shoot probably just as many threes as Alabama, potentially even more. I think Charleston will get some more to fall, and we're gonna go with the upset here. Clemson and New Mexico. Clemson's a good squad. They got PJ Hall, Baylor, and Colgate. A lot of people like Colgate, I think, every year, but we're going to go with Baylor. They played in the Big 12 battle testing. Dayton and Nevada. This is a good matchup here. I think one of the better first round matchups. You got Deron Holmes, great player for Dayton, but I like Nevada's guards a lot to get this win here. Arizona and Long Beach State. Long Beach State, great story. Coach gets fired, somehow makes a run, and now they're in the tournament. But it's going to end here. We're going to go with Arizona over Long Beach State. North Carolina, Michigan State tournament committees set this up. They love to see this, but Michigan State's run's going to end here. North Carolina with R.J. Davis and Baycott. They've been there for a while. They know the tournament and they'll get the win. St. Mary's and Charleston. Like I said earlier, St. Mary's has been one of the best teams in the country over the past month, so we're going to go with St. Mary's to advance here. All right, here's our first major upset of a double-digit seed reaching the Sweet 16. I love the way this New Mexico team is playing right now. Jamal Mashburn and Jalen House. Guard plays huge in March, and they got two great ones.
Love it.
Arizona, Nevada. This is also another good one right here. Nevada's with some good guards, but Arizona's got Caleb Love, who's volatile. All right, North Carolina and St. Mary's. This is going to be a very good matchup. St. Mary's, they play disciplined basketball, good offense. But I'm going to continue on with North Carolina here. Baycott and RJ Davis, even though they lost the ACC championship, I think they'll get it done here. All right, Arizona and New Mexico. I love this matchup. Arizona's burned me time and time again. I'm going to go back to the well and go with Arizona just because I'd love to see Caleb Love play North Carolina in the Elite Eight. Caleb Love, RJ Davis, who comes out on top, who's the better guard? One had to leave. We're going to go with the one that stayed. We're going to go with North Carolina to advance here.
So North Carolina and Auburn so far. Let's turn our attention to the Midwest. Purdue's our 1 seed. Purdue's had some trouble the last 3 years. And most recently, last year was Fairleigh Dickinson that got him in the first round. Let's not play around with that. We'll go Zach Edey in round 1. Then TCU, Utah State. I feel like these are two opposite teams, really. But I think I think their speed is going to be a problem here. I think they're played in a better conference in the Big 12, so I'm going to go with TCU. Now, Gonzaga and McNeese. This is a very popular upset pick. A lot of people like the Wade Brigade here in the 12 spot. I think they only lost 3 games the entire year. Now, they didn't really play anybody, so that might factor into it, but Gonzaga, I mean, if they can't get it done with Drew Timme, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Suggs, I just don't know how you can trust the team they have this year when they've kind of been a little underwhelming all year. So I'm gonna go
Okay.
with McNeese to get this upset in round 1. Will Wade obviously hunting for a new position somewhere very soon. I think he's gonna end up. So we'll go with them in round 1. Kansas, Sanford. Sanford, one of the best offensive teams I've seen. I mean, they shoot a lot of threes. Kansas, if they were fully healthy, I mean, I think I'd clearly go with the Jayhawks. Some question marks as we are early in the week. So as it stands right now, I think if Kansas can get healthy, I'm going to go with them to win this game. But obviously, if Hunter Dickinson, transfer from Michigan, doesn't play, or the guard that are missing, if neither of them can play, I think Sanford definitely could pull the upset here. We'll go to South Carolina, Oregon. Oregon winning the Pac-12. The last year, the Pac-12 upsetting Arizona. South Carolina, I think they were picked last to finish in the SEC coming into the season. So
Yep.
everyone's sleeping on them. So I'll continue to sleep on them. I'll go with the Pac-12 champs in Oregon to win this game. Creighton Blue Jays, they only run, 6 or 7 guys, which could be a problem if you get some guys in foul trouble. But when you got Kalkbrenner manning down the middle, coming back from that injury where he had to miss some time last season, I think he's just going to be too much. So I'm going to go Creighton in this one. These teams that make the play in the last 4 in, usually they end up doing some damage. Texas hasn't really done anything this year to impress me. So I'm going to go with the winner of Virginia, Colorado State to get this win over Texas. probably going to be Virginia if I had to guess. And then Tennessee in the same region as Purdue, two teams that are notorious for choking this time of the year. But we're going to go with them, Tennessee. Let's not play around with St. Peter's, who coming off that magic run against Purdue very recently. But okay, back to Purdue against TCU. Now, TCU, I think they can speed up Purdue, which is the way to beat them. You have to run with them, make Zach Edey run the floor. Now, TCU, I just don't think their interior is going to be enough to handle all 7+ feet of Zach Edey Player of the Year. So I think they're going to win this matchup, even though they've struggled in March as of late. Okay, next game, I got McNeese versus Kansas. It's such a big question mark with Kansas. We don't know the health situation, but I do know I like Will Wade, former LSU Tiger head coach, now coaching the McNeese Cowboys, I think they are. So we're going to pony up with the Cowboys, send them to the Sweet 16, and make it to the second weekend. Looking at Oregon and Creighton, I think they got 3 guys that they rely on. I think they're just a better team overall. So barring some unforeseen situation, I think they're going to roll through Oregon, no problem. And then down here with Tennessee, they add the score that they've been looking for, Dalton Connect, and getting Ziegler back. He missed last March. They still made it to the second weekend, but I think he's going to make a difference this year. So I will go with Tennessee to win that game. So now we're working with Purdue. Zach Edey, I think this is where I think we can call it for McNeese. They had a good run here. We're giving them, but Zach Edey, I mean, no one's been able to stop him all year. I think the Cowboys not going to be able to do it here. So we'll go with Purdue to advance. And then this matchup right here, I really like Creighton, Tennessee. I'd be very interested to see Adu versus Kalkbrenner. I think that would be a very enticing matchup. Two teams that aren't very deep, so it's going to be a lot of the starting 5, and then they mix in a couple guys. I'm going to go with the Blue Jays just because we haven't seen Tennessee put it together. They lose in the SEC tournament pretty early. A lot of people predicted them to win it. It's so tough to pick against Purdue and Edey. I mean, but we just haven't seen them do much in the tournament until I see it. It's just like Gonzaga. I mean, until I see them do it, it's hard to pick them to predict any sort of success for this team. So I guess we're going to go Creighton in the Final Four, some obscure team like we saw last year with FAU and San Diego State.
I know I harped on it a lot with Houston getting hammered by Iowa State that showed they're mortal, but they do have very aggressive defense, good guard play. They are a little sketch with their interior shooting, their mid-range shooting, and they shoot less than 70% from the free throw line. That will not matter against Longwood because let's just never think it's literally Longwood. So they're giving Houston. And then Nebraska A&M, I don't know if it's going to get to the recording, but right at the very beginning, I absolutely mentioned how much I despise A&M and where they're seated. They're way overseated. They're not that great, complete frauds. If they had gotten any other matchup for Nebraska, I would pick against Nebraska because they are truly they're good at home, and that's it. But they're going to beat A&M here and get to the second round, and it's been a great season for them because this is their best season probably ever. For Wisconsin and JMU, the part of my take bowl, JMU was kind of fool's gold. They looked great at the beginning of the year. They had some stumbles, albeit against some good Sun Belt teams, but Wisconsin got hot at the right time, even though they lost today. Give me them. I like them as another potential second weekend Elite Eight team, the Wisconsin Badgers. I'm not even going to spend time to mention it. It's Vermont. Duke's going to win. Duke's incredibly soft, but that won't matter this round. It's just don't have to overthink it. Texas Tech, NC State. I know I'm wearing the shirt. Work for the athletic department. I love them, but Texas Tech made me a lot of money this year, so their NC State got boned in their matchup. Kentucky going to take on Oakland. This is going to be the game of no defense. Both teams shoot the lights out, but refuse to play defense. But Kentucky has NBA talent, and Oakland does not. So give me the Wildcats. Florida is going to take on the winner of the play-in game between Boise and Colorado. The Mountain West is the best non-Power 5 league by pretty substantial margin, and that's going to show itself here. Either team has a pretty good chance to take down Florida, who just lost their best rebounder to a broken leg and got pretty convincingly hammered today in the SEC championship game. So give me the winner of Boise and Colorado State to knock out Florida, who's coming in a little unhealthy. Marquette, Western Kentucky, but another just not think about it. Tyler Kolek is one of my favorite players in the game, so they're going to win that one. Houston, Nebraska. This is where what my take on Nebraska comes truly to fruition. I think Houston's going to run them out the gym. I don't think it's going to be close. So another easy one. Wisconsin and Duke. This is, I believe, a rematch of the national championship in 2015. Duke is incredibly soft, but it's becoming the Duke that we know and love again, being villains. And I think they are. They are. I don't love them, but I love where they got drawn into the tournament. So they're gonna beat Wisconsin and get to the second weekend. After that, Texas Tech and Kentucky. Kentucky, for every game that they go and dog walk Tennessee at the end of the year, they then have a game like against LSU where they just completely lay an egg. So give me Texas Tech. Yeah, because they actually play defense on Kentucky. From here, it's yeah. I know I just said I love Tyler Kolek, but I actually genuinely could see a case for Marquette, just especially if Kolek is not as healthy as we think he is with an oblique injury, just completely pissing down their leg. So give me the winner of Boise, Colorado, to go and run to the second weekend. I think Marquette is, of all the 1 and 2 seeds, they're the team that's going to be the most disappointing. After that, though, again, this is where Duke's run ends. Just no reason to think about it. Houston, while they looked mortal, I think they're good enough to get to the Final Four, and they're going to absolutely take down Duke, and they're going to smother them. Texas Tech, another one. I love them. I'm fully admitting I love them. I could make it look bad, egg my face, but they're absolutely taking down the upstart 10 seed between Boise State and Colorado. And then finally, I think they've played a couple times, and Houston has been the better team, has being the key word. I mentioned earlier they shoot less than 70% from free throw. And they have pretty shaky mid-range shooting. And I think that's going to rear its ugly head. It's going to be a game with a lot of fouls, a lot of tough contested shots like they were the first couple of times. So give me Texas Tech. Give me them as a big Final Four run to truly establish a new era beyond Chris Beard.
Hey, interesting matchups we have here in the Final Four. Auburn, North Carolina. What do we feel about that potential matchup if it were to come to fruition?
This would be a very good matchup. I mean, as Ryan was saying earlier, the metrics love Auburn. They're kind of similar to UConn from last year. They had a little lull, but later on in the season, they started to pick it up. Away from home, they haven't been that great, but I mean, that's a lot of teams in college basketball this year. The ACC's been kind of down, so I don't know if they have enough top tier competition in the ACC to kind of know what Auburn's like. I'm going to go with Auburn here just with the metrics.
Tech and Creighton, Texas Tech has all the horses. No one's talking about them potentially getting to the Final Four and to a national championship. And I'm just going to stick with what I've been saying earlier. I love them, so I love them to get to the national title. And I will laugh when this immediately falls in my face when they lose in the second round. That's going to be the team I'm way too in love with that I'm going to go way too far with in their absence.
Who do we see winning the big game and cutting down the nets?
All right, I can't remember. I think this was the year we should have got this matchup previously, but Virginia kind of got bailed out with against Auburn, and then Virginia ended up playing Tech in the championship.
Correct.
So Auburn gets the revenge here. And I'd go with Auburn over Tech, but
I really want to pick Auburn, but I think as much as they are a good team that just happened to do most of their damage at home, I think that Texas Tech really has the horses to win it all. They're a little underseeded. They're a little overlooked in the rest of the quality teams from the Big 12, like Iowa State, Baylor, Houston, so on and so forth. And usually it's an overlooked. There's always an overlooked team that, oh, I can't believe it. They made the Final Four, but they had the talent. You just didn't look at them. So give me Texas Tech.
All right, that is going to wrap it up for our March Madness predictions. Let me know in the comments what you think of these picks, if you agree or disagree. Obviously, everyone's going to have different opinions. Let me know in the comments. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week with another episode of the Fantasy Birds.